What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday. DK Show up on the air. Your radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. You got your Google and Alexa home device, smart speakers. Video stream also up and rolling. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Got the app. Take it on the go. Hopefully, you all had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to hit up a brand new week here, which may very well could be a busy week. We've got NFL free agency legal tampering period begins today. Packers already starting to make some moves. Not the David Bakhtiari one, though. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a hot minute, but reported yesterday. I believe Tom Silverstein was the first from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel that the Packers do plan on releasing Devondre Campbell on Wednesday by the new league year in a cap clearing move. It'll be with a post June 1st designation, on there too. So the Packers looking to clear about $10.57 million. The thing is, with that post June 1st designation, they'll have to carry it up until his salary and such, but they will. This gives them a larger chunk of salary cap room than if they would have cut him right away, which kind of doing your math and your timelines here a little bit. We know Jordan Love, he can start to, or they can give him an extension in May, sometime in May. We got to post June 1st. Maybe it kind of coincides with that. Could very well be, but nonetheless, a move that we kind of thought was going to happen. Sounds like now it's going to officially happen here at this point in time. So, which I think means, we've been talking about safety and that position and how important it is for the Packers to upgrade that spot and get some more depth over there. I think now you take a look at the linebacker position for the green and gold and kind of have to figure that position's moved up a little bit in terms of importance, whether it's via the draft or free agency or whatever have you be. So, also in that report from Tom Silverstein, also noted that they do have several of their own free agents they want to sign. That includes Keyshawn Nixon, linebacker Eric Wilson, special teams dude, and Tyler Davis, tight end Tyler Davis, again, mostly probably for special teams play there. So, but teams can start negotiating with free agents starting today, that legal tampering period, but they can't sign them until the starts of free agency on Wednesday here. So get ready for some more rumors, some more reports, some more rumblings out there. Again, as a reminder too, uh, in case you're wondering why some free agents are able to sign with teams now, those were guys who were released. We're talking about the guys who are set to become free agents because their contracts expire. That's who can start to talk to teams now, but can't officially sign until like Wednesday. So, like Russell Wilson, for instance, he's going to Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers overnight will be signing Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal, 1-year contract. So, Let's Ride is moving to the Steel City of Pittsburgh. I threw up a Twitter Twitter poll question to begin this Monday. Who do you think right now, between these two, has a better Hall of Fame resume? Russell Wilson or Matthew Stafford? I almost feel like it's been the last few years, maybe it's changed up a little bit, where Russell Wilson kind of came in like a lion when he began his career, right? Comes in, wins a Super Bowl, goes to a couple Super Bowls back to back, and then just kind of tailed off a little bit there. Matthew Stafford goes to the Rams, wins a Super Bowl and such, put up a lot of numbers with Detroit, just couldn't advance to the postseason. But I feel like maybe initially, if you'd asked this maybe 8 years ago, maybe Wilson's the majority, but right now the majority going with Matthew Stafford. So if you want to take a vote on that, uh, take a vote by just visiting the Twitter page at DANKASPER. So plenty of football chat coming up here as we'll go through the latest rumors, rumblings, reports, and all that good stuff out there. So also we had a trade too. I mean, Mac Jones is going to be backing up Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville for crying out loud. So it's coming in hot. Love this time of year though, man. I love it. So we got plenty of football talk coming up here. We're going to talk some baseball. Brewers kind of holding their breath right now, hoping that there's nothing seriously wrong with Devin Williams' back. He's been dealing with an achy back now for a bit, it sounds like. He's getting a second opinion. He's going to be visiting a spine doctor. But Pat Murphy's saying he has some back stiffness. He's dealt with it for a couple of weeks. Just doesn't feel right. So we wanted to get it looked at by a specialist. We just figured, why not take every precaution? So holding their breath that hopefully it's nothing too serious with Devin Williams there. But how many times have we heard back issues, and whether it's basketball, football mostly here too, and they just kind of tend to potentially linger out there. So, but we're going to talk some baseball. Brewers don't have a game today, but looking at some of the comments and over the weekend and such from Pat Murphy and such, well, Sal Frelick very much alive, very much in that conversation as being the third baseman for this ball club. So we'll kind of do a spring training update as we are almost just 2 weeks away from opening day for the crew, for the Brewers. So, what else do we got? We got some hoops chat. Bucks picked up the win yesterday against the Clippers. Clippers playing a little short-handed, no Paul George and Kawhi and such, but Bucks taking advantage of that after falling to the Lakers on Friday night in a close game there with Dame's last-second shot getting blocked there. But the Bucks bouncing back and picking up that W against the Clippers. So we'll hit that up off night tonight before they visit Sacramento before returning home against Philadelphia. They got Philadelphia, then they'll have a couple days off Phoenix, and then quick road trip to Boston next Wednesday. That should be looking forward to that one. But a quick update on the standings as they're at right now. Bucks are in that second spot in the Eastern Conference by a half game over Cleveland. Minnesota in that tight race for the Western Conference at the top there have dropped their last two, and now in that third seed, Oklahoma City at number 1, Denver number 2, just a game back. Minnesota half game back from that 2 spot there. So it's tight. It's tight, and that's kind of one thing we were kind of wondering with the Karl Anthony Towns injury. You're hoping Minnesota doesn't fall too far down in the standings with missing Big Cat over there, but we'll see. We'll see. They're 5-5, just 5-5 in their last 10 too. So, speaking of hoops, the Badger basketball team falling to Purdue yesterday. They will be the 5th seed in the Big Ten Conference tournament, where they will face the winner. They will face the winner between Rutgers and Maryland. That game on Thursday. So Marquette, also the 3rd seed in the Big East Conference tournament. They will face the winner between Villanova and DePaul. So we are less than a week away now from Selection Sunday. Don't forget to pre-register, pre-sign up for our bracket challenge up on our website at sportstalk1051.com. Just click on that Fan Cave tab. Speaking of some postseason college hoops, UW Stout did fall, the women's basketball team, in the Sweet 16 matchup against Transylvania Friday night, 63-58. And then shout out to all the boys high school basketball teams who have advanced to the state tournaments, which will be later on this week, starting Thursday and such. But a couple of those teams a little bit closer to our area: Marshfield Columbus Catholic, Solon Springs Marathon, and West Salem, just to name a few. It is the weekend hangover, so what was kind of the best and maybe the worst from the weekend for yourself, in your opinion, sports world, or whatever it may be? Hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Also, it is a Are You Serious Monday? go through an interesting stats fun fact of the day. We'll get to that coming up a little bit later on. But let's get things rolling here this morning. Let's chat a little football here with the Devondre Campbell news now officially becoming official. Well, I guess the Packers haven't officially announced it, but it's halfway to being official, reported by a couple outlets now. How important is addressing the linebacker position? We've been focused so much on safety and finding a couple safeties, and whether it's the draft, free agency, he's got a good group. Linebacker, off-ball linebackers, not too shabby too when you kind of look at the free agent market. So in your opinion, with this new defense coming in with Jeff Hafley, how important, just how important is it for the Pack to address this linebacker spot? Or maybe you're on the flip side of it all and you're just kind of like, they got Walker, they got McDuffie entering his final year, but you're maybe assuming they're going to play the majority of their time in a 4-2-5, little nickel, only two linebackers. So maybe it's not that important. Of course, they need some depth, but they don't maybe necessarily need to find another starter. Maybe that's your thoughts. I don't know. That's why I want to hear from you. All right. Start to hit me up with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. So let's get her going here this morning on this Monday of March 11th. We'll take our first break. We'll talk some football to get her going. Free agency week is here. Let the madness begin. We'll be back after these quick words. Get on the bus with us to Milwaukee's opening day. Tickets are flying off the shelves, baby. April 2nd, Milwaukee taking on Minnesota for Milwaukee's opening day. Just head to wiscotrips.com or you can head to sportstalk1051.com and get your seat, reserve your seat on the bus. Tickets include round trip motor coach transportation, a game ticket on the Johnsonville party deck that includes food and beverages, including you're over the age of 21, a couple of brewskis over there, plus tailgate party from Premier Catering. Bus will leave Sam's Club in Eau Claire at 7:30 a.m. sharp, and also making a stop at the Road Ranger in Oakdale at 8:50 a.m. So, again, more details at wiscotrips.com or sportstalk1051.com. But over the weekend, a lot of them look like they've been flying off the shelves. That's what I've been told. So better hurry up and reserve your seats if you want to get on the bus with us. Let's begin chatting some football with the legal tampering period beginning today in the NFL free agency world. And we've already heard some rumors. We've already seen some signings and rumblings and such. Couple of big notes over the last 24-ish hours. Russell Wilson's going to be signing a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, maybe I don't know if they're completely giving up on Kenny Pickett because it is just a 1-year deal for Russell Wilson. But nonetheless, he's going to be going to the Steel City to be their quarterback. Patriots are going to be looking for a new quarterback. They traded Mac Jones to the Jaguars for a 6th-round pick. So whether that means they will be drafting one with their 3rd overall pick or not remains to be seen. And well, now the clock is going to be on when we find out about Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield signing a deal to stay with Tampa Bay. So Kirk Cousins kind of the big domino to fall out there. But with Green Bay, I'll just say it. The other day, Friday, I thought maybe we were going to get a Friday news dump where it was announced the release of David Bakhtiari. Just kind of we see it in the sports world and life in general. That Friday news dump over there, and didn't get it. And we haven't gotten any news from the Packers about David Bakhtiari. The one note from Tom Silverstein's write-up on the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel where he's talking about Devondre Campbell's release, which we'll get to here in a second. But I wanted to bring up this note about David Bakhtiari because I think we're all still expecting this to happen. And really, what's going on here? As Tom Silverstein notes, the Packers are planning to create more cap space through a move of some type. Couple key words there. With left tackle David Bakhtiari's $40 million cap number. But there's no hurry because no roster bonus is due. A release would seem likely, but maybe he wants to stay and a large cut is negotiated. It's also a possibility he decides he doesn't want to play anymore and retires. Cutting Bakhtiari would create $20.95 million in cap room for the Packers. And to get to that savings, were he to stay, Bakhtiari would have to take a massive cut to his $20.2 million base salary. There is no hurry for the Packers to make a move with Bakhtiari because he isn't due a roster bonus this year. They don't have to make a move until they need the cap room for a free agent signing or a contract extension for one of their players. Is it possible David Bakhtiari could just take a huge cap hit, or a huge salary cut to stay with Green Bay? Would that be possible? Is that something that could be possible? Here's the thing. If David Bakhtiari is healthy, and he's willing to take a massive pay cut with perhaps incentives built into that thing. Like, okay, you play 16 games, you play 14 games, whatever it is, you get a bonus here or there. I'd be interested in that. It'd have to be a huge gap. I mean, you're talking a huge cut, though. Monstrous cut. I'd potentially be interested in that, but I just, again, would he be willing to do that? And I think, he's going to have to realize, and I don't want to speak for him, and there's people smarter than me and his agents or whatever, but if he were to be released and he wants to continue to play, he would have to realize that he ain't going to get a big deal elsewhere. I mean, it only takes one. I understand it only takes one team to do that. And it could take a desperate team to do that. And we all assume the Jets are going to be that team. But he's got to realize too that there's probably going to be other teams like that want to put a lot of incentives to protect them based off this knee issue. And really, we may not know if he's going to be able to give it a go, how good he's going to be, if he can last until these games actually start. So it's going to be a risk either way. But I still think we're going to see a release to save that money. But I think it's interesting that maybe, Tom put that note in there that a move of some type, maybe he would be willing to do a massive, massive pay cut to stay in Green Bay. Who knows? Remains to be seen. But the one move we do know that the Packers will be making is Devondre Campbell, the former All-Pro, first year in Green Bay, being named an All-Pro linebacker on a one-year deal, came in and just lit the world on fire. But injuries has derailed the last couple of years for him. So in a move that I think a lot of us probably have and they're going to be switching to a 4-3. Could he still could there still be a possibility that he stays with the team because of the depth over there? Well, we apparently have our answer now. The Packers will cut him, according to multiple reports. Tom was, I believe, the first one out there. This will be a post June 1st designation. Post June 1st designation, which means a couple of things with this release with Devondre Campbell here. So with it being the post June 1st, the Packers will create $10.57 million in cap room. $10.57 million in cap room with this release. But with it being that post June 1st, too, it allows the Packers to push $8 million of those remaining cap charges into 2025. Without the designation, without that June 1st designation, the Packers would have gained $2.6 million cap room instead of the $10.57 million. So that's kind of the dead. They could have taken the hit now. They decided to do it for the post June 1st. Kind of move out that money. Get some instant relief. The thing is, though, too, they have to carry his cap and salary up until June 1st. They have to do that. So it's not like going to be right away on Wednesday. But you kind of wondered with post June 1st, and does that timeline correlate a little bit maybe with Jordan Love's extension? That can't be done, can't be worked on until May. Maybe a little bit there. Could potentially happen. But nonetheless, with Campbell now being gone, I think you look at this depth at the linebacker position for the Packers, and now the question is, does linebacker move up in terms of a big need now for this team? We've focused so much on safety, and rightfully so. Do they double dip in free agency? Do they do what they did with the edge rushers when they signed Za'Darius and Preston? They signed them in the same year, and then that draft, they drafted Rashawn Gary. Could they do something like that with safeties? Maybe not to that level as much, where they sign two and then draft one because, edge rushers, a lot of guys rotate them in. Safeties, a lot of those guys, defensive backs, play nearly 100% of the snaps if they can. But the thing is, too, with this linebacker spot, now they're probably going to be looking for a strong side linebacker, that Sam linebacker. Quay Walker is going to be going over to the weak side. Going to be able to utilize his skill sets a little bit more. Going to be able to roam a little bit more, if you will. By all accounts, Isaiah McDuffie is going to probably be that middle linebacker, that inside linebacker in this 4-3 base defense. The question that Green Bay has to ask themselves now is, how big of a need is it to find that Sam linebacker? Like it's a need, obviously, but how big of a need is it? Is it like first round pick need? Is it day 2 pick? Is it free agency pick? Because we know that the league is very nickel oriented. Like, it's almost to the question, what's more important for this defense? Is it a top of the line, really good nickel corner, slot corner, or is it going to be the Sam linebacker, the strong side linebacker? And I thought it was an interesting little nugget here, too, from Tom Silverstein from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, saying that the strong side linebacker will only see about 25% of the snaps, given how much nickel is played. So is that considered kind of a quote-unquote part-time player? So Green Bay has to ask themselves, what's the most important position right now? Is it strong side linebacker, nickel corner? Obviously, they've got to upgrade both, but if in terms of the priority list, what would be number one? Probably nickel corner. And it's not to say you can just plug in anybody over there and say, hey, go play Sam linebacker, go play strong side linebacker. They're going to address it. But it could be the difference in terms of whether they address it early in the draft, whether they address it early in free agency, or maybe they wait a little bit longer. Maybe they wait till day 2, day 3, after the first wave of free agency. So they'll have to get. They'll be looking. Whether Eric Wilson has mentioned that the Packers would like to bring him back. Could he be an option as a part-time player? Possibly. I know they really like him because of his special teams play, and that might be the sole reason, or I shouldn't say sole reason, but biggest reason you bring him in for depth in that too. But nonetheless, linebacker is going to be a position that they have to now address a little bit more. It moved up a little bit in terms of the priority list for Green Bay in this offseason. And I think it'll probably be in the draft. Unless, because you look at off the ball linebackers right now. And you look at the free agent list. You got Patrick Queen over there from Baltimore who's going to be one. But he might cost a little bit. Patrick Queen, I remember, I remember the draft he was in. I was like, dude, I wouldn't mind him coming over to Green Bay. But he's probably going to get a big deal. Jordan Brooks, young linebacker from Seattle. Do you go with Levante David? Could be a Hall of Famer, 34 years old. Maybe bringing him in for a year, helping mold a potential replacement down the line. Possibly. Devin White, the other Tampa Bay linebacker over there, could he be a possibility? But he's also a guy that would he get a little bit more money because, the first couple of years he was playing really well. He was a first round pick. Does one team or a couple teams kind of look at those years and willing to give him a little bit more money? You got another Bobby Wagner, free agent up there, 34, but he's coming off the most sacks that he's had in his career. Willie Gay from the Chiefs. So there's options out there. Do they go with a 1-year deal with a veteran to fill that role, or do they go? That's where I think, I think it's between a 1-year deal with a veteran or like a or it's gonna be a rookie or a draft pick. I don't think they're going to put a ton of money into that, strong side linebacker. I think it's gonna be a 1-year deal with a veteran or rookie. In fact, probably both, to be honest with you, because of that depth. I think they're looking at that corner position as much as Jeff Hafley loves his secondary. He's got a secondary background. He wants to play press man coverage. You've got Jair. Eric Stokes is kind of up in the air, right? We don't know. They're hoping the former first round pick. The injuries are in the rear view mirror with hamstrings and lower leg injuries, hoping for a bounce back year with him. Carrington Valentine had a solid season as a rookie with the 7th round, but they probably want a little bit more insurance from that corner spot, especially considering how much that nickel corner plays now in these defenses. So, yeah, I think they probably prioritize that nickel corner a little bit more. Decisions to be made, though. That's why we get to talk about them, we get to analyze them, we get to critique them, and all that fun stuff. And our jobs kind of don't aren't relied upon that. But what? I'll throw the question back. Do you think corner is more important than a strong side linebacker? If we kind of use Tom's percentage points where, he believes a strong side linebacker, considering how much, and the numbers are out there, stats are out there. We hear all the time nickel defenses about 70-75% of the time. Teams play in that style of defense, a nickel defense, taking a linebacker off, putting an extra DB in there. Do you feel like linebacker is a bigger need than corner right now? Maybe you feel like you trust Eric Stokes to bounce back and have a good year. Maybe you're impressed with Carrington Valentine to get a starting spot over there. If you were Goody, which one would you address with the utmost importance? Let me know. Let's take a quick break. We'll have more coming up in just a few minutes. I hope I get some more rumors this morning, though, man. This is my favorite time of the year. All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Spring cleaning, an annual tradition that perhaps we all kind of dread. Maybe if you don't like cleaning and such. I'm one of those, man. When I think of spring cleaning, I think of all the dusting, washing the windows, mopping floors, dreading what to look under, or dreading looking under Hudson's bed and seeing what's under there. This year, though, let's have a little fun with spring cleaning. Let's really leave our mark on it. Let's get some new floors this spring from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Hey, the way I look at it, let's go big or go home. Let's replace that carpet in your living room so you don't have to hide those spill stains with fake plants and extra end tables. Or let's update that kitchen floor that is completely out of style. It's temple. So just head on over to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and check out all the different options of flooring that are out there. Then Carpet City Flooring Center will work with you to set up the install of your new floors, and boom, spring cleaning is in the books. You really want to make your home feel clean this spring? Spring on into Carpet City Flooring Center and look at getting a new floor for your home to make your home look even more amazing. Continuing our free agency talk here. Quick updates on the poll question out there. So I threw out a poll question early this morning. If you want to vote on it, just head to my Twitter page at DANKASPER. Who has the better Hall of Fame resume right now? Russell Wilson or Matthew Stafford? 65% of you going with Matthew Stafford. Now, if I were to do a follow-up to that poll and would have been like, okay, if I asked this, oh, let's say, where are we at? Let's say about 10 years ago, would that have changed? Would these results be different? Russell Wilson was kind of at his peak, going to back-to-back Super Bowls, winning one of them. I'd be kind of curious to see if we could go back 10 years, or if we did a follow-up to that one, would that be different? Or yeah, hop into our DeLoreans and our time machines and ask that same question at that point in time. Who's got a better Hall of Fame resume? Would it be Russell? Would it be Matthew Stafford? Because I honestly feel like it'd be at least closer. I feel like it would be at least closer to that. So, as legal tampering is set to open up today, where teams can talk to free agents and negotiate with free agents. Now, again, the key part in this is the free agents whose contracts are set to expire on Wednesday. Teams who released players, officially released players, can already sign contracts and such. That's why you've got like a Russell Wilson tweeting out he's going to Pittsburgh and such, or Zach Ertz going to Washington. If a team has released a player, he's immediately free to sign, talk to teams. These teams with this legal tampering period, these players that are now allowed to talk to other teams, those are players whose contracts are set to expire on Wednesday. But we've had a lot of movement in the last few days, weekend. We mentioned Baker's got a deal to stay with the Bucks. Russell with the muscle. Wilson going to the Steel City. You got Chris Jones, the defensive tackle, who's going to be staying with the Chiefs, signing a massive 5-year, $158.7 million deal, $101 million guaranteed, the highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL. You've got Mac Jones that's going to be traded. That trade will become official on Wednesday, going to the Jaguars to back up Trevor Lawrence. Kind of an interesting one there, but you look at the value that they got, 6th-round pick in return. Probably not bad insurance for Trevor Lawrence, but also a chance for Mac Jones maybe to learn from Doug Peterson and kind of get his career back on track. How about this from this morning, though? Kind of a little breaking news here. If you are a Bears fan, it sounds like, remember was it last year? There was talks, rumors about the team moving to Arlington Heights. Well, according to reports now, the Bears aim to stay in Chicago with a domed stadium south of Soldier Field, making Arlington Heights an unlikely destination. Apparently, the Bears we'll be talking later today. Bears are also planning to invest $2 billion to fund a publicly owned domed stadium south of Soldier Field. So there you got it. Chicago going to be getting a domed stadium. The only team then left in the NFC North that won't have a dome stadium is your Green Bay Packers. A lot of it, let's be real here too. Dome stadium, you can do more stuff in there. You can host more events. Maybe Chicago then, I would imagine I'd be willing to bet G-Man's 401k because I won't bet my 401k. I'll be willing to bet G-Man's 401k if they get that dome stadium. If that's all signed, sealed, delivered, it's officially official. It's going to happen. There will be a Super Bowl in Chicago. You have a dome stadium in Chicago, you're going to have a Super Bowl in Chicago when that thing's up and running. Just like Minnesota got one with their new stadium, Detroit got one, Chicago's going to get one. So they're able to host that. More moolah. They're able to probably host some Final Fours. More moolah. Other events like that. That's why you got teams like Chicago, maybe perhaps looking at dome stadiums, looking at more income coming in that way. Speaking of G-Man chiming in a little bit earlier. DK, the Pack made the right move. Now, Packers, please go get a player on defense. He has to go with Russell Wilson because he played for Wisconsin, and I hope Devin Williams will be okay. Way to go, Bucks, and finish the road trip with a win, and Bucky will win the Big Ten tournament. Big Ten tournament slated to start a little bit later on this week. Badgers going to be playing the winner between, let me get this, Maryland and Rutgers. I knew it was Rutgers, couldn't think of the other one. Rutgers and Maryland. We've got Marquette, the third seed. They will play the winner between Villanova and DePaul. Wisconsin losing yesterday's game against Purdue. We'll talk some more hoops, though, coming up in the next hour. We'll throw some Bucks and college hoops chit-chat within there. Couple of texts to get to here, though, on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, talking about the green and gold a little bit. I think finding another corner is a little bit more important than finding another linebacker, says Chris. Kind of what you were referring to. Defenses play so much more nickel-based defense now instead of just a typical 4-3, 3-4 based defense. So I think that's why finding another corner is more crucial. Even though I feel like the Packers have slightly better depth at corner than they do at linebacker, I feel like they still need to find one more high-end corner because of the amount of time that they will be playing nickel defense. That's from Eric on our texting line. I do think that the Packers need to find another linebacker, but I think they will get that in the draft, maybe a mid-round pick there. That's from Matt's. Then we got Ben coming in here saying, in terms of higher need in the draft, I think the Packers will draft a corner higher than they will draft a linebacker because they will probably play more nickel-style defense. Plus, their new defensive coordinator has a secondary background, and he wants to play more aggressive coverages. I agree. Well, with a lot of you out there, I think they're probably going to maybe address corner a little bit more. I would slightly agree, too, that when you kind of look at it, maybe they've got a little bit better depth at corner, at least. You got Jair, you got Eric Stokes, assuming he's going to be healthy. You got Carrick to Valentine, who logged a ton of snaps last year. You look at your linebackers, it's Quay, it's Isaiah McDuffie, and that's pretty much it. But considering the nickel defense and how much teams play that now, yeah, I definitely could see them targeting a corner maybe a little bit more than, I should say a little bit more, higher priority than they would at linebacker. They need to address both. Let's be real. They got to address both positions coming up here. I'll be honest though too with you. I'm still surprised that they And maybe I'm reading too much into it because I get it. They don't have to make a decision. They don't have to make a decision right now when it revolves around David Bakhtiari because of the roster bonus. But I am surprised that they haven't moved on from him yet and released him. Now, does that mean maybe because there is an outside shot he could be back on a massive pay cut? I guess never say never, but sometimes we see teams when it comes to longtime players or longtime favorites, guys who have logged a lot of snaps. When you know the end is coming, you'll see the teams kind of do a benefit for the player and cut them so they get an early shot, an early run at free agency, and that's the case here with Bakhtiari. Let's say last week they released him. That would give him a heads up to go visit other teams. Maybe other teams getting a heads up on, looking at his medicals before they kind of make some other decisions in free agency. You see teams do that as kind of like a nice quote unquote parting gift for the player. Hey, we know we're gonna move on from you. We're gonna do it a little bit earlier as just so you get a head start on free agency before everybody else, and maybe that helps you get a better deal. Kind of here's your gold watch. Thank you for your service. See you down the road when we enter you in the Packers Hall of Fame. So the fact that they haven't done that, and again, I could very well be reading too much into it. It does surprise me a little bit. And I get, again, they don't have to, but we see other teams do it just to say thanks to the player and try to, end on good terms. So maybe there's some negotiation going on. Maybe there's some talks about taking a huge, massive pay cut. I still think the end game is he's going to be released, but and I feel like Bakhtiari probably wants to know. Like if there isn't any talks going on behind the scenes and it's just kind of a waiting game, he's probably like, guys, cut me. Yeah. To quote Rocky and Rocky One, cut me, Mick. Cut me. Let me go find my new team. I feel like Bakhtiari continues. He still wants to play. I feel that. I really feel like he wants to. I know there's talk about maybe he wants to retire, but you kind of see some of his posts and his tweets and all that from a few weeks ago. He seems like a guy that wants to continue to play. And I don't think, and anybody who's competed at any level, but especially the people who compete at the highest of highs, they don't want to go out the way Bakhtiari would be going out, injured, career ending because of an injury. Some don't have that ability or that luxury to kind of end their careers going out on their own terms. But I got to imagine for a guy like Bakhtiari, he wants to go out on his own terms. He wants to go out there and play another year at a high level and then perhaps call it a career down the line. You don't want to end it the way he did. One in, we got a couple more to go. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour, we're kicking off on this Monday morning. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however, you may be tuning in. Hopefully, you all had a good weekend and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week here. Been talking about first hour. We talked a little football with NFL free agency set to begin this week. Got the quote unquote legal tampering period beginning today. 11 o'clock our time. It's noon, but it's 11 o'clock our time. So this is where, again, teams can talk to agents of players, negotiate. Teams can begin engaging these agents to work on some deals. Deals can be agreed to, but nothing finalized and such. So you probably maybe around 11, we could start to see some stuff trickling in here. Again, these are free agents whose contracts are set to expire on Wednesday. Okay. That's why, for some players, you're starting to see like, well, how come so and so agreed to this? Like Zach Ertz and such. Team released him. Or Chris Jones. Well, teams who have their own players can agree to contracts and all that stuff here too. So this allows, like, if Green Bay wanted to talk to Xavier McKinney, for example. So perhaps we'll get some news a little bit later on today, later on this morning, with the pack and such. But we'll keep you posted if anything jumps out to you or jumps out, and we'll get that to you. We're going to talk some hoops coming up here in just a little bit. Badgers are going to be the 5th seed in the Big Ten Conference tournament, which will begin this week. They will face the winner between Rutgers and Maryland. The Badgers falling to the Boilermakers of Purdue last night. Marquette will be the 3rd seed in the Big East Conference tournament. They will face the winner between Villanova and DePaul. So we'll get to some college hoops talk here. We're going to talk some Bucks here, because in our Are You Serious Nugget stat for this Monday morning, it goes to the Milwaukee Bucks, because Dame and Giannis joining some exclusive company. Giannis and Dame, so their win over the Clippers. Giannis and Dame became the 2nd pair of teammates to put up 30-plus points and 10 assists in the same game since 1980. Damian, 35 points, 11 assists. Giannis, 34 points, 10 assists. And to top it all off, they're also the only pair of teammates ever to each tally at least 34 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds in a game. So each player was literally 3 rebounds away from getting a triple-double in that game too. That is your Are You Serious Nugget stat fun fact of the day. The Bucks bouncing back after a tough loss Friday night against the Lakers, in which no LeBron in that game, but D'Angelo Russell went off and such. Dame's shot at the end getting blocked, so the Lakers holding on to get that victory against the Bucks. Bucks bouncing back against a shorthanded Clippers team, but nonetheless picking up the win. And now they are in the 2nd spot in the Eastern Conference, holding on to a half-game lead over the Cleveland Cavaliers for that 2nd spot in the conference. Next up for the Bucks is going to be Sacramento, off night tonight for the Bucks before they head to Sacramento to wrap up this 4-game West Coast trip here. They'll be back at home on Thursday, where they play the Philadelphia 76ers in that big game on Sunday against Phoenix, and then the really big game next Wednesday on the road against Boston. Still really no update on Chris Middleton, which, again, Doc is kind of just saying the same stuff, getting close. He's getting closer. He's getting closer. And at this point, it's just like, okay, let's talk to us. Talk to us when we actually have a real update at this point in time. Not to be a jerk about it or anything, but it's like, I feel like we've been hearing it's close for like 3 weeks now. And Friday night, Doc Rivers told reporters that Middleton was going to have another hard workout on Saturday. And then he followed that up yesterday by saying he had a great workout, really looked really good, looked great. So again, he's getting closer. It's like Jay Billis or the NBA draft. It's like your bingo card with wingspan. Closer. So perhaps we'll see Middleton starting to gain some minutes, maybe going up against Philadelphia at home. Me personally, I'd like to see Middleton back for that Boston game. I'd like to see him get a couple games in before Boston. I'd like to see this Bucks team at full strength going up against the Celtics, just to give us a nice idea of how they kind of match up and such. But hey, that's just me. That's just me at that point. So, but nonetheless, Bucks now 42-23 overall on the season. Western Conference wise, the Minnesota Timberwolves falling down to the 3rd seed in the West. Still, it's a battle at the top there. We've got OKC, who's now in first. Denver is just a game back. Minnesota 1.5 back from first place. They are 5-5 in their last 10 games, but they have lost their last 2. When you look at what's coming up next for the Timberwolves, they're at the Clippers tomorrow. So big game for them, for both teams actually, but big game for the T-Wolves, and got the Jazz after that, and then a huge game on the 19th going up against the Nuggets. They've actually got the Nuggets a couple times here within 10 days, the 19th and then again the 29th. So this race for that, they've got the Nuggets 3 more times for the rest of this season. The Timberwolves do. Oof. Yikes. Tough matchups. That's the thing, though, that we were talking about, too, when Karl Anthony Towns, when he went down, right? When he goes down, when he went down with an injury, you hope they don't fall too far back. And the thing is, too, the 2 teams that are ahead of them, they're all in their same division. This Northwest standings for the Western Conference, OKC, Denver, and Minnesota. Those 3. They're your top 3 seeds in the Western Conference, too. This is where I like when the NBA a while back kind of just like, okay, we're going to switch it up where, division champs get the top seeds over there, and then everybody else after that, screw that. Here's the perfect example of why that change was necessary. Your top 3 teams are in the same division right now, and let these guys battle it out. But it's going to be interesting to see how the T-Wolves kind of manage the rest of this regular season before Big Cat returns to the lineup, because it is a tight grouping up there for that first seed. College hoops wise, the Badgers yesterday falling to Purdue. Now, I don't know too many people who thought Wisconsin would go into Mackey Arena and pick up the W unless Purdue was going to be resting their starters or main players and such. Purdue surprised Zach Edey by already retiring his number 15 jersey. So I think that's probably an indication Zach Edey finally won't be back for Purdue. But still, Wisconsin, 78-70. Stephen Kral, 21 minutes, 0 points, 2 rebounds. Foul trouble again. Just, I mean, he's got to be frustrated. The Badgers got to be frustrated. Fans are frustrated. But to see him only playing 21 minutes, taking 2 shots, and one of them was a 3. And I get it. Zach Edey down below. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough to post him up and have an inside game. I understand that. But, AJ Storr doing his thing, 17 points. Tyler Wall, 17 points. Blackwell again, coming off the bench, 18 points. Man, not to look too far ahead, but please, And I hate thinking this, but it's got to be in the mindset now with transfer portals. But I really want to see Blackwell in the starting lineup with Store next year. I want to see these two just kind of, do their thing. You got a bigger guard in Blackwell, 6'4" in the backcourt. The athletic freak of an AJ Store, kind of at your 3. Let those two eat next year. Let those two do what they can do. Just, I want to please be back next year, you two. Don't go anywhere else. And just let those guys do what they do. Run your offense through them. Build your offense around them. Those two. Blackwell and AJ Store. And I know Store's kind of technically a list guard here too, but he's 6 and such. Play him at the 3. Put Blackwell like at the 2. But just let those guys. And I know college basketball, it's not really that big of a deal, kind of maybe what it is in the NBA and such. But I just want to see those two paired up in the starting lineup together and those two working hand in hand and leading this Badgers team next year. This team next year should be those two and everybody else. I mean, they're good. Obviously, you want more help and more depth in that, but gosh, I want to see these two for a couple of years with Wisconsin. They've been the bright spots this year. But you look at Blackwell, I mean, his last 2 games now, Rutgers, he put up 17. Purdue, 18. The man shot 70% from the field yesterday. 66.7 from 3. This kid's going to be special too. He's going to be such a good player. And I hope that they could keep him around. And I absolutely hate thinking about the idea that now these players could just enter the transfer portal if they want to maybe go to a different program that they think is going to be in a better spot or maybe win some more games or whatever. I hope it doesn't come to that. I know we mentioned on Friday, but when you saw AJ Store kissing the court at the Kohl Center on senior night, that was the first thing that popped in my mind. And I know he downplayed it afterwards and said nothing to read into it, but it's hard not to. Okay, we're human. It's the current state of the college hoops game. But please just stay around for a couple more years. We need it. The Big Ten Conference tournament, though, no big surprises on where everything's at. This will start on Wednesday. You've got Rutgers, Maryland, Michigan, and then Penn State. And then so that tips off on Wednesday. You've got the first game on Thursday, Minnesota versus Michigan State. Wisconsin will play after that. Scheduled, air quotes, scheduled for 1:30. A lot depends on that first game when it ends. But again, they will play Rutgers. The winner between Rutgers and Maryland, winner between Michigan and Penn State will play Indiana. Iowa is taking on Ohio State in that 10-7 matchup. And as we mentioned, Marquette will be the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference tournaments. You got UConn as the 1. Creighton as the 2. Marquette will play the winner between Villanova and DePaul. So, Selection Sunday coming up this Sunday. If you're looking at bracketology, I've seen Badgers holding at 5. I've actually seen one bracketology where it has them now at a 6. Yeah. But I think if they win a couple of games at least in the Big Ten Conference tournament, that maybe that solidifies them as a 5 seed. But yeah, I think at this point in time, it's a 5, it's a 7. Joe Lenardi, his latest bracketology. Let me bring it up here. He did it at 9:25 last night. Yeah, he's got Wisconsin as the 6. Playing Virginia or St. John's. Talk about that play-in game. Tony Bennett's Virginia Cavaliers, Rick Pitino's St. John's. The thing is, I know Wisconsin beat Virginia earlier this year, but the way St. John's is playing right now, they're playing some good hoops. I don't know if I'd pick Wisconsin to beat St. John's, to be honest with you. And you want to talk a little storyline there, too. Where did AJ Store come from? Transferred from St. John's. There you have it. Boy. Oh, win a couple games to get a 5, although then you get the 5-12 matchup there. I don't know about Connor too. Texter had said this a little bit earlier. What's going on with Connor CGN with his minutes? RJ and I have talked about that a few times now. I mean, you'll look at it yesterday he played a minute. Yeah, 1 minute. Last couple games he just played a minute. You're looking at what he did last year, 11.7 minute or 11.7 points per game. Last year in 35 games played, shot 40% from the field, 35, almost 36% from 3. This year he's just shooting 29% from 3, 37 overall from the field. And I know he was dealing with some injuries earlier on and such, but yeah, he's definitely a guy that has dropped down big time in production this year. No doubt about it. All right, let's take a quick break. I want to talk a little baseball here quick. Devin Williams. Should we be concerned? Are the Brewers concerned here a little bit? We'll tell you about that. And could Sal Frelick actually be that opening day third baseman? Is it more than just an experiment going on in spring training? We'll go to some quotes from Pat Murphy on the current state of his ball club coming up after this quick break. Are you looking to get your name out in the public eye more? Do you need some apparel, drinkware, or maybe even signage done? Whatever marketing materials you may be looking for, Residence Branding Company has a wide range of items to help make your brands stand out in the competition. All your branding needs in one convenient place. Resonance is here to save you time, money, and headaches. They can also set you up with an online store to sell your items as well. So let me simply ask you, does your brand resonate? Resonance Branding Company, the official swag provider for the program and me a podcast. Wearing a sweet hat that was done by the boys over at Resonance Branding Company. If you want to check out some of their swags stuff over there, just text the word swag to 715-830-1912, our Shoe Doctors bullpen line, and you'll get a link sent over there. So big thanks for that, guys. Got that done. Picked one up for me and Utsy. Quick turnaround time too. So also we've got public. It's open to the public now. Everybody can. It was Friday, but the fourth annual Casper Classic back at Princeton Valley Friday, August 2nd, and holy moly, to the amount of signups we have already gotten. I cannot thank all of you enough. I'm actually blown away, humbled by it. Appreciate all of you signing up your teams. This is fantastic, fantastic. So, thank you to everybody who has already signed up. If you want to get your two-person team, now a couple of you just kind of asked for clarification. The price is for your team. It's not per person. It is your team, your two-person team. So that $90 early bird pricing is for your two-person team. So if you want to sign up your two-person team, head to sportstalk1051.com. You can scroll down a little bit on the homepage and you'll see that icon over there. But big thanks to everybody who has already signed up. We're going to try to make this one the biggest and the best yet this year. Sponsors interested in helping out and being a part of this awesome event and helping out Backyard Dreams. This is our big one for Backyard Dreams. Let me know. Hit me up, and I'll get you some info and such. All right, we need you. We need your help too. So just hit me up with a text or an email over there. But again, big thanks to everybody who signed up. And if you want to make sure you got your team locked in, you better head to sportstalk1051.com. We've sold out every year, and right now we are definitely past my expectations so far here. So, all right, let's talk some baseball. We're going to be 2 weeks away from opening day on Thursday, as the Brewers will take and forget opening day. We will also be at Hy-Vee for our opening day party starting up at around 11:30. So I know that's also spring break week for schools around Eau Claire and such. But if you got maybe an extended lunch period that day, or you got the day off or whatever, come by, hang out with us, and take in the game. But that's coming up on the 28th, Thursday, opening day over at Hy-Vee. But the Brewers kind of starting to ramp things up and kind of get going here with this spring training, or with the regular season here, kind of starting to wrap some things up, or maybe I should say wrap some things up, but maybe getting to that point where now you're starting to maybe see some positions kind of come into play. Like, all right, that's probably how that group's going to work out. It's probably how the outfielding group's going to work out, or that's probably how the rotation's going to kind of play out. We're starting to kind of get there, but I look at third base and Sal Frelick has been kind of the talk of camp so far. He's been getting a ton of reps over there at third base. Has it been mostly exploratory, just kind of seeing how it looks, getting him some experience. But according to some of the comments from Pat Murphy, I mean, it's a real thing. Our good friend Dominic, who does the Brewers postgame show on the Brewers radio network, even, kind of tweeting out there too. He's over there in Arizona. But he said a couple, one notes. Another bit from our session with Murph. This was from yesterday. The Brewers are seriously looking at Sal playing third base. Like, really? Dominic also goes on to say it really could make the outfield picture work with Yelly, Cheerio, Mitchell in the outfield, and then Sal at third. Maybe Weimer kind of, a bench player kind of coming in here or there, or maybe starts the season off in AAA and such. And then you go to Brewers.com and you got, your roster predictions when we get to opening day. And they got Sal still as an outfielder over there and Ortiz at third. But I don't I don't know if they're really gonna have at this point in time, an everyday starting third baseman, to be honest with you. I wonder now when you look at this, could it be a situation where, one game, maybe a couple games in a row, it could be Sal Frelick. Then it could be Joey Ortiz, the other player they got in return for the Corbin Burns trade. But the Brewers.com write-up with projecting the Brewers opening day roster. The, quote, third baseman Sal Frelick experiment that's been going on in spring training is apparently more than an experiment. The Brewers are seriously considering using Frelick at the hot corner in 2024, not just the outfield. But still, Ortiz is such a slick defender and, well, a natural infielder that it seems silly not to get him in the lineup somewhere, especially when he's also looked good at the plate this spring. If Hoskins is at first, Turang is at second, and Willy Adames is at short, then that somewhere is third base. Milwaukee wanted Ortiz in the Corbin Burns trade for a reason. So maybe it could be maybe initially it's split time, or it honestly just could be Ortiz is going to be the everyday starting third baseman for this season. You're getting a bunch of reps in for Sal Frelick because he'll probably get some starts and get some action at third base. Honestly, I can't see Sal Frelick being, at third base in a lot of close late game situations. A lot of times we've seen defensive substitutions over there. But I think at this point in time, if Willy Adames is still on the roster, Ortiz is probably the closest guy to being your everyday starting third baseman. Sal Frelick will get some starts at third this year. But when Willy Adames is no longer on this team, whether it's at some point this season during a trade or after the season when he's a free agent, Ortiz will be the starting shortstop for the Brewers. Whether it's at some point this year or next year. I think that's where it's trending, and whenever Ortiz is that guy, maybe that's when Sal Frelick becomes the everyday starting third baseman. But I think with Sal Frelick getting some reps at third base, it just gives the Brewers more flexibility, gives them more options to get them in the lineup, put together their best lineup possible, certain pitching matchups. The more that you can do, the better. The more positions you can play, the better. And I remember this, and it's kind of timing that he is now the associate manager. But I remember when it was kind of towards Ricky Weeks' tenure with the Brewers, maybe even a little bit before that. But there was like, man, if Ricky could just play a couple other positions. But it was just kind of like pigeonholed that's where he was going to be. That he's a second baseman. Couldn't play third. They tried a couple times in the outfield or a few times in the outfield. But you were just kind of like, oh, that's his spot. That's the only one he can play. And I think when you've got a Sal Frelick who can play third base, play the outfield, play multiple spots, if you have a team full of guys that can play multiple spots on this thing, more the better. Yelich can't play the infield at his point in time in his career. He's an outfielder DH. Hoskins is a first baseman DH. Sanchez is a catcher, a little bit first base, not a whole lot DH. But the more you can do with this younger team in some certain situations, the better your odds are to get on that field. So I don't think Sal will be the quote unquote everyday starting first third baseman. As long as Willie Adames is on this team and he's your everyday starting shortstop, I think you put Ortiz at that third base spot, but Sal Frelick definitely will get some starts over there at some point in time. You know, this back end of this rotation though is going to be really interesting, and I don't want to put too much into opening day starting lineups, but I think when you look at the starting rotation here, when you factor in Wade Miley may not be ready to go. He's kind of ramping up here a little bit. He's pushing to be in the opening week rotation. He had some shoulder soreness that delayed his ramp up at the start of camp. And when it comes to him, you want to make sure he's fully ready because, again, if you can get 120 innings out of Wade Miley for a season, you probably take that. But if he's not on that opening week roster, it makes the starting rotation this race a little bit more interesting outside of Freddie Peralta. Colin Ray seems to be a guy that's in a good spot to get a starting spot in this rotation, which, again, he was just a guy last year. He's in his 30s, but when he came up because of injuries, you're like, who? Who is that guy? And he was asked to pitch a lot last year, different roles, coming out of the pen, getting starts. Now he's sure looks like he's fully ingrained into being in this starting rotation. And the other guy that maybe you're not hearing a whole lot about, or we're not hearing a whole lot about, but he seems to be making these projections, these roster projections, and you're hearing Pat Murphy talk about him. But he's a guy that we haven't seen play since 2021 at a major league level, and that's Joe Ross. We saw him with Washington in 2021 when he was 5-9. But again, you hear Pat Murphy, you see some of the writers who are there in Arizona, and they're like, it sure seems like he's going to be a part of this starting rotation. And when he was signed, that was kind of like, oh, that's that typical Brewer signing, buy low, hoping to kind of maybe strike a little gold, get a little lucky with that signing. But get ready for him in there. And then Jacob Junis. Just the other day, he threw 4 no-hit innings against the Rockies. And then you got DL Hall. DL Hall, I think, is going to be in this rotation. Probably back in there. But whenever Wade Miley comes back, it's probably going to be a guy like maybe a Jacob Junis who's moves back to the bullpen and such. But now with Wade Miley kind of perhaps going to miss the beginning of the season, it sets up this race for those final 3 to 4 spots. A little bit more intriguing at this point in time. Now, I think if we take Wade Miley out of this equation, their prediction on Brewers.com is probably accurate with Peralta, Colin Ray, Joe Ross, Jacob, and DL Hall. Could there maybe be another addition before the season? Maybe, possibly, but I don't know. Could Aaron Ashby sneak in there? Sure feels like they're prepping him to be a guy coming out of the pen this year. It seems like that. But maybe at some point this year, we'll see him getting some starts, maybe just some spot starts. And then maybe at some point we'll see Robert Gosser coming up there and getting some starts. But you might want to kind of maybe pay attention a little bit to Joe Ross. Because I got a feeling some people are going to be like, who is that? Remember, he was that signing in the offseason that was like, oh, that's a Brewer signing. Trying to kind of a reclamation project, if you will. But he's appeared in 3 games He has struck out 9 in 7 innings. Started one of them 0-1, 6.43 ERA. If you worry about that stuff, and when it comes to spring training, so. All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to finish up the second hour here. Don't forget, send me your weekend hangovers. What was kind of the highlight of the weekend? What was the low light of the weekend? Could be sports, could be just something maybe that happened to you or whatever. Hit me up with a quick text, 715-830-1912. Update on the poll. Who has the better Hall of Fame resume? Our Twitter poll at DANKASPER. 65% of you going with Matthew Stafford. 35% of you going with Russell Wilson. We'll take a quick break. We'll finish up the second hour after these quick words. Spring cleaning is just for your home or office, right? You would be wrong. You have to take care of yourself as well. So, are you tired of those aches and pains that you've been holding off on getting checked out? Don't put it off any longer. Reduce your pain and enjoy the ease of your daily activities with the help from Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine are your leaders in orthopedic, brain, and spine care. So whether you're an athlete or just have an aching joint, they can help you out. Just visit cvosm.com. That's cvosm.com to get started. All right. Also, think we're gonna have the Dan van, the mobile man cave here soon there, peeps. Think we're getting close to that. Hopefully we can get that thing out and about on the road here for the opening day get together at Hy-Vee. So that'll be cool. Looking forward to that, doing some more shows on the road perhaps. Yeah, buddy. Got it back from our good friends at Toyson Ford, going through a little tune-up and such. So big shout out to our friends at Toyson Ford for that. Also, sponsors of the Man Cave podcast. But we're also going to be opening up that opportunity for others to hitch their wagon with the Dan van. Going to look for some partners for that, sponsors on the logo on the Dan van and such. So can't wait to get that going this summer. This is kind of the busy time. This is the busy time. We've got some remote broadcasts coming up. We've got some remote podcasts coming up here. I think this is starting all next week. We've got at least one day per week for the next 2 months that we're going to be out on the road, either doing a remote show or a remote pod or an event. So busy time, busy time, but a good time too. Right, we've got hoops, March Madness, tourney time. Big favorite for a lot of you. Probably, I know we usually get in that debate. What's your favorite month of the year? Some will throw March in there, maybe more so April, March, April. I'm a big October. I'm probably going October, but this is a close second. You got your college hoops, the postseason with the tournament. You've got baseball starting up. You've got the NFL draft coming up here. NBA season kind of wrapping up into getting ready for some postseason play too. So, oh yeah, got the Masters in April. Oh yeah, I think it's a little bit more April than March. Because you got, I mean, you don't have as many basketball games, but you got the national championship, Final Four, and all that. But regardless, you all know what I'm getting. Plus, you throw a little turkey hunting in there too. This is definitely one of the better times of the year. Gotta love it. I just saw ESPN had their rankings of the top 100 Major League Baseball players right now. 3 Brewers made the list, but the first one doesn't show up until number 86. If you guessed that player to be Willy Adames, you would be correct. Willy Adames, according to this ranking from ESPN, is the highest ranked Milwaukee Brewer or their best player on this Brewers roster right now. I know it's probably going to be met with a lot of disagreement from Brewers fans out there, but I'm just passing the word. The next highest ranked Brewer comes in at number 96. And if you would guess Christian Yelich, you would be right. They say here he's not the player he was during his 2018-19 peak when he won back-to-back batting titles while finishing first and then second in MVP voting. But Yelich did have his best season since 2019, hitting 278, 370, 447 with 19 home runs, 28 stolen bases, 106 runs, and a 3.6 WAR last year. Most importantly, he managed his back issues the past couple of years and played 144 games in 2023 with a slew of speedy outfielders to choose from, especially if Jackson Chourio cracks the opening day roster. Yelich may see more DH time this year, but he should once again serve the Brewers as one of the top leadoff hitters in the game. And then finally, the last Brewer to pop up on this list, Devin Williams, the closer. If there was one Brewer that I think deserved to probably be on here, I'd throw William Contreras into this thing. I think William Contreras kind of gets overlooked. The starting catcher, I know he's still young and such, but I thought Contreras should have gotten some love on there. If you're going to throw Willie Adames in there, I mean, you look at last year, Contreras hit 289 with 17 home runs, 78 RBIs, scored 86 runs, OPS of an 825. You got to give William Contreras a little love. Come on, Silver Slugger. He deserved to be on that list. It means nothing. It's a sports site with their top 100 rankings. But if we're going to dissect it and we're going to banter and argue about it, the one Brewer that should have been on there, in my opinion, should have been William Contreras. Easily. I think he gets overlooked too often. And I hope he goes out there and dominates again this year. I mean, you can look at maybe the offensive side last year. He probably was their most consistent player. Is that fair to say? I think it's probably fair to say. Looking at Baseball Reference and their projections for him this year, 20 home runs, 279 batting average, slugging of a 466, on base of a 357, OPS of an 822, 69 RBIs. Probably batting in that 2 spot if he kind of similar to the lineup from last year. You know, Yelly, Contreras, maybe Willie, and then Hoskins, or Hoskins at 3. So, yeah, I think Contreras gets overlooked quite a bit. Glad he's on the Brewers, though. That trade last offseason, what a win for the Crew. What a win. All right, so coming up next hour, we'll get back to some more football talk. We got some more free agency rumblings going on out there. Get you updated on some of that. But nothing in terms of the Packers yet. Nothing there yet. But we'll get you updated on some of the other stuff that's been kind of going on here. We do know one Packer move that's going to become official on Wednesday. The Packers, I should say it's not going to become well, yeah, it will be with the post June 1st designation. They can still move on from him. But Devondre Campbell going to be out. So, what's a bigger need in your opinion? Hit me up with a text. Just give me the position. Linebacker to fill in that strong side, or a nickel corner or another corner? Bigger need. Linebacker, corner. Corner, linebacker. You think it's linebacker because you got Quay Walker and Isaiah McDuffie and nobody else? Do you think it's corner because, you know what? 75% of the time they play in nickel defense anyways, and you take that linebacker out of there. If you had to pick one of most, now I think we would all agree they need both. But on the priority list, what's more important? Another corner or another linebacker? Hit me up with some text, okay? 715-830-1912. No right or wrong answer in this thing. Make your picks, okay? So we'll get back to some football talk. We're going to do the weekend hangover coming up after these news updates, though. The highlights of the weekend, the lowlights of the weekend. Last call for your picks, okay? What was the highlight? What was the lowlight? Could be a sports thing. Maybe it was something that happened to you over the weekend. Okay? Let me know. So we'll get to that as well. 2 in, we've got 1 more hour to go. So got some quick news updates, and we'll be back. NFL legal tampering period beginning in just 3 hours. That point in time, maybe we'll find out some signings out there. Weird how they can just start talking in 3 hours, but they've agreed to deals already. Weird. We'll be back. Third and final hour kicking off on this Monday morning of March 11th. Thank you all for tuning in, whether it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, streaming it, smart speakers, or at the website, or on the app, or checking out the video stream on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We appreciate you being here. We're going to get to some football talk as we are now under 3 hours away from the quote-unquote legal tampering period to begin in the NFL, which I think we could call it the beginning of free agency at this point. Used to be Wednesday. Wednesday's still the official start date when teams can go out there and tweet that they've signed these players, but we know that we're going to start to hear some of that coming up here today. So we'll get you some more updates and rumblings and rumors and all that good stuff coming up here in just a little bit. It's the weekend hangover, though. What was the highlights? What was the lowlights for you this past weekend? Could mean the sports world or whatever it could be. My low light, I would say, is probably I'm going to go with the brawl, the fight between South Carolina and LSU and the SEC tournaments, women's basketball. The championship there, South Carolina ended up beating LSU 79-72. But now you've got several ejections and players will actually miss the opening round in the tournament and such. So some players doing that. I get it. It's a rivalry. It's between those two and such, but I mean, kind of put a damper on everything there and what was, with that rivalry and such. And now you got players getting ejected. And I don't know how much of an effect it will have on an opening round game with those players and that, but that's probably the low light from this weekend was seeing that and such. So I get it though. It's a rivalry. It is what it is, but that's probably the low light. I'll throw in Stephen Krall's performance against Purdue too as a low light from the weekend hangover. That was yuck. Again, 21 minutes, 0 for 2 from the field. One of those shot attempts being from 3 and just 2 point. Was it 2 point? Foul trouble again for him. So yuck. Highlights from the weekend. I'm gonna go back to this. All of you who have signed up for the golf outing already, I'm not trying to oversell it or try to up it, but we're like halfway there already in terms of maxing out almost. That's how within the 48 hours that we posted that's how many teams we've had sign up. So that was the highlight. Like I was just randomly kind of checking. I'm like, holy moly. The number is just going up, signups going up, the availability going down because everybody's signing up. So my highlight, my weekend hangover, the good, the positive, it's got to be all of you who have signed up. So big thanks for that to all the teams who are doing that. It's going to be a big one this year. It's going to be a lot of fun too. We're going to do a couple new things over there and have some fun with it this year. But if you want to make sure you secure your team, your spot, you got to go to sportstalk1051.com and scroll down on the homepage there a little bit, and you'll see the icon for the Kasper Classic. Click on that, more info, and then you can sign up online. Coming up August 2nd. So that's the other part. We're just under 5 months away from that thing, and yet we're filling up already. I love it. It's awesome. Big thanks. All right. Let's talk some more football here, shall we? We've already seen some moves over the weekend and such. Russell Wilson's going to the Steelers. Mac Jones getting traded to the Jaguars. Chris Jones staying in Kansas City with a massive deal. Baker Mayfield staying in Tampa. Now, a lot of eyes going to be on Kirk Cousins. Is he going to stay in Minnesota? Is he going to go to Atlanta? Where's the thinking on that? Will we find out news today? It's kind of you saw some conflicting rumors and rumblings on social media where at one point you got one bit of information saying that it feels like he wants to stay in Minnesota and maybe it's trending that way. Then you got another one saying, no, it's going to be Atlanta. It's just, I don't think we really have a good gauge. I think at this point, it's like Minnesota has their offer on the table. This is what they're willing to do. And it's almost like a take it or leave it. And talk about kind of changing your offseason approach, whether Kirk Cousins takes your deal or not. Because I feel like if he takes that deal and you lock him up for a couple more years, I mean, what's your goal then? As a franchise, as a team, what's your goal? If you sign Kirk Cousins up for 2 more years, is it pushing the chips in? Okay, we got Kirk locked up for a couple of years. Justin Jefferson's going to have a huge contract. Do you push your chips in and kind of go for it? Or do you still kind of the mindset, okay, we got Kirk, but we're still going to draft a quarterback early? So I don't know. It feels like you've got one guy, one player that could completely alter your offseason approach a little bit. Because I feel like if Kirk isn't there, do you start that kind of rebuild? Do we call it a rebuild? Or kind of a retool? Whatever we want to call it. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where that lands. This was from Tom Pelissero from 13 hours ago. Tom, who lives over in Minnesota, NFL Network, but really in tune there. He had said that the Vikings and Kirk Cousins remain in communication, but it appears that Kirk will test the free agent market, which opens, again, 11 today. So we'll see. Got to imagine Atlanta's going to come in, and it's probably going to be one of those where as soon as that time opens up, they're going to get a phone call right away. Steelers signing Russell Wilson to that 1-year, $1.21 million minimum league minimum, which is no surprise because Denver's still on the hook for a big boatload of cash. That was kind of the thought process out there, that whoever was going to land Russell Wilson was probably going to be at a minimum deal because you got Denver that's got to pay a big chunk of that. I like the move that Pittsburgh is given Russell Wilson, bringing him in. I mean, I look at this Pittsburgh team, and every year for the last few years, we've kind of like, okay, what are they going to really do anything? And yet they just seem to always kind of surpass expectations a little bit. And I feel like bringing him in for, 1-year deal, see what he's got to improve that passing game, hopefully. I mean, you've got Pickens, Johnson, Harris running the ball. Defensively, you still got T.J. Watt over there. I like the move for Pittsburgh. I mean, what do you $1.21 million league minimum for Russell Wilson? Whether you like him or not, I think that's a pretty good deal for a team like Pittsburgh. When you already got the culture in place, you got Mike Tomlin in place. I think that's a solid move by Pittsburgh. Oh, and the other, I forgot to mention too, the trade. We had another trade of Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy, Denver Broncos wide receiver, getting traded. He's going over to Cleveland for some late picks. Jerry Jeudy was a guy that a lot of Packers fans wanted the last couple of years. Was it, 2 picks are 5th and 6th round picks for this year's draft for Jerry Jeudy, who's entering his final year. So you've got Cleveland now. Deshaun Watson, I mean, this is kind of put up or shut up time. With as much as Cleveland has invested into Deshaun Watson, contract-wise, trade capital-wise, he now has Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy. Hopefully Nick Chubb can recover from that gruesome leg injury. David Njoku at tight end. He got some weapons over there. Can they do anything with it? They made the postseason this past year. Can they take that next step? We just got done talking about Pittsburgh, bringing in Russell Wilson now. Baltimore was the 1 seed last year. Cincinnati, ravaged with injuries last year, especially with Joe Burrow. That AFC North, I think, is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And we're just getting started with the AFC North. Or we're just getting started with the free agency period, excuse me. That AFC North is going to be a lot of fun to watch, I think. That division, which we know is kind of a black and blue type of division. Ooh, got some good storylines in there this year or for this upcoming season. Then you got the Mac Jones trade. He's going over to Jacksonville. I know there was some chit chat about, the compensation, 6th-round pick, and maybe that doesn't bode well for a guy like Justin Fields or for the Bears in return if they trade Justin Fields. I think you have to ask the question of which one has more upside right now? Which player do you think would have more upside? Which player would you rather have starting right now? And I think a majority would still go with Justin Fields. As long as you put him in an offense that is tailored to him, built around him to succeed and built around him to do what he does best. Mac Jones, I don't know if he was in the best situation over there in New England. Best offensive situation. His first year. They go to the postseason. I believe Josh McDaniels was still the offensive coordinator over there. And now, it wasn't by his decision. And I'm sure he doesn't want to be a backup, but he gets to go to Jacksonville. He's not going to be the starter, but he's got Doug Peterson over there. Doug Peterson knows a thing or two about quarterbacks. Maybe in the next couple of years, he gets another shot elsewhere. But you kind of, I go back now to when that draft was coming up and Mac Jones was in there and Trey Lance was in there. And the whole talk about the 49ers was it Kyle Shanahan who really wanted Mac Jones, but maybe got overruled and they went with Trey Lance. What would Mac Jones's career look like? Here's a big what if. What would Mac Jones's career look like if the 49ers had drafted him? Would he still be the starting quarterback for the 49ers? Would he have led the 49ers to Super Bowl? Who the heck knows? But he may not like it. Mac Jones probably may be a little disappointed. But if I were him, I look at this as an opportunity to get better, to improve yourself, to improve your stock. Preseason is going to be huge for him. I think he'll get a shot to start elsewhere at some point, and who knows? Trevor Lawrence has been banged up. He was banged up a lot last year. He may get some opportunities to play this year too, or this upcoming season. Packers, though, will be making some moves, according to Tom Silverstein, who was the first to report it over the weekend, yesterday, that they will release Devondre Campbell. It will be with a post-June 1st designation. So a couple notes on that. Okay, couple notes on that. One, they got to carry his salary and such up until June 1st. But it'll create, by doing it post-June 1st, it'll create about $10.5 million in available cap space for this season. Whereas if they did it pre-June 1st, they'd have to take that hit all this year. And I think the timing of that may be a little interesting because that cap space that they will create for this year, around June 1st, which is, as we know, is a couple months after free agency, but it kind of lines up with an impending Jordan Love extension. Jordan Love, they can't work on that new deal until May because of the timing of when he had that deal last year. Kind of lines up that, maybe that extra cap space will come in handy when they get Jordan Love's extension done. I think there's some connecting of the dots there. But nonetheless, Devondre Campbell is now going to be a former Packer. He's gone. To which now, it kind of moves up. I shouldn't say it kind of. It does move up the importance of this team now to find another linebacker. But how important is it, like in terms of the priority list? Safety, I think we all agree, is number one. Number one. Got to get that safety. Got to get two of them. But like one playmaking safety. I mean, Nick Collins, instrumental to their Super Bowl 45 win. Leroy Butler, Super Bowl 31. Lombardi had Willie Wood We know the importance of safeties, right? We know this. We got to get a safe. We got to get a couple of them. And I just saw this. Xavier McKinney's still only 24 years old. He's the same age as Anthony Johnson Jr., who was a rookie for the Packers last year. That's insane. Got a lot of football left with that guy. But get the safety. So I think most of us would agree that's the number one priority. Get us a safety or two, Goody. Either get one in free agency, get one in the draft. Got to take care of that. Probably throw offensive line in there. We don't know what David Bakhtiari is. I know Tom Silverstein in his report too said that the Packers they're not in a rush because he's not due a roster bonus, and maybe won't make a move until they decide to start or when they have to sign a free agent, a big money free agent or such. Still, it kind of surprised me a little bit that if they know they're going to release him, because you see teams kind of like do a favor to the player, release him early so they get a head start on free agency so they can find a home, kind of like a thank you for your service and go out there. The fact that they haven't done that yet, to me, is a little puzzling. I don't want to read too much into it, but could there be an opportunity that he takes a massive pay cut just to stay? I guess never say never, but I don't know. I don't know. And maybe he realizes too that, hey, regardless if I go somewhere, it's going to be probably a smaller contract with a lot of incentives. Should I do that elsewhere? Or if I can do that with Green Bay, shouldn't I just stay here? I really don't know. Maybe that is a thing that's kind of being talked about. But we'll find out sooner rather than later. But regardless, offensive line's probably up there too. But in terms of the priority list, what's more important now? Is it finding that strong side Sam linebacker? If we're going with that base defense of a 4-3, if we're just kind of, 4-3 defense, Quay's going to be the weak side. Isaiah's going to be the middle. You got a Sam linebacker, strong side linebacker opening now. Is that more important than finding maybe your third, second corner? You got Jair. Eric Stokes, you're hoping bounces back and can stay healthy. Carrington Valentine logged a lot of snaps last year, played some solid ball for a rookie 7th-round pick. But considering that a Sam linebacker, strong side linebacker, won't be playing the same amount of snaps as a middle or a weak side linebacker, does it make that higher on the priority list than say a corner? Because we know defenses play a lot of nickel. Majority now is a nickel. It's not base defense. It's not base 4-3. It's not base 3-4. Green Bay's probably going to play a ton of 4-2-5. When you play a nickel, you're taking a linebacker up, bringing in that extra corner. Now, I believe Green Bay, it's a priority. They've got to address both corner and linebacker. But I think they may be looking at this like, okay, maybe we got to get that corner. And if we got a part-time player, if that's what we want to label the strong side linebacker as, a part-time player, because they're coming off on passing downs, do we want to invest a high pick in that? Do we want to invest money in a free agency on like that? So I think corner's probably at the top of that board there. I could see Green Bay. Now, I don't know if they would do this, but I could see Green Bay going out there and saying, okay, let's sign a veteran linebacker on like a 1-year deal. Also draft a linebacker. Maybe it's a day 2, perhaps an early day 3. But we got that fill spot, that stopgate with that veteran linebacker for a year. If it works out, hey, maybe we re-sign him again. But just to fill it in, then we got that younger guy to kind of provide a little bit more depth, future starter down the road. I guess that would be the route I would go if I was Green Bay. Find that bargain free agent, that veteran free agent that is willing to maybe do a 1-year deal to fill that spot. And then when it comes to a corner, I think you use a day 1, day 2 pick on a corner. You don't know if Eric Stokes can come back and be the Eric Stokes that we saw his rookie year. The guy has suffered that gruesome leg injury in his second year, tried to come back this year, battled hamstring injuries. I mean, you hope he can come back. He's a former first round pick, and you hope that he can be one of your starters over there, but it's still an unknown until you get back on the field and see how he looks, see how, he's reacting either to, the offseason programming that they're doing with him and Christian Watson sending him down to Madison. I mean, you hope it all works out, but you don't know until they're on the field. And Carrington Valentine, he's got some swag. He's like a Jair. He brings that swag. He likes to talk. It's a good depth piece over there too, but do you want a more typical nickel guy? Guy who can cover slot receivers? We know Jair can. Do you want to just pigeonhole him to that? Or maybe there's so many different scenarios you can go. So while I think the corner spot, they've got a little bit more depth at it compared to the linebacker, but considering that corner, that nickel corner, that third corner is going to be playing more snaps than a strong side linebacker, I think corner is probably a little bit higher on the priority chart. It's not to say to ignore that strong side linebacker. Not at all. I don't think they should do what they kind of did with the safety spot last year, where it was Rudy Ford, it was Jonathan Owens, it was Anthony Johnson Jr., the rookie. They had a bunch of guys kind of battling out for one. Darnell was a lock for one of those safety spots, and they just kind of had a bunch of guys coming in and trying to win that, just trying to fill in the pieces. I don't necessarily want to see that where they bring in a bunch of guys. I wouldn't mind though the veteran on a 1-year deal, and then you bring in a rookie for some more depth. But will Green Bay be active? Will they be aggressive in the next couple of days? That's the $1 million question. Will they get one of these top safeties that's out there? When they can start talking to agents legally in 2.5 hours, will they be able to lock down and grab one of these safeties? Will they be aggressive? I think I speak for a lot of Packers fans saying, I hope so. I want them to get a safety. I want them to get that guy. I just go back again. I know I mentioned it just a few minutes ago. Nick Collins to me was such a pivotal piece to that defense when they won Super Bowl 45 that sometimes I think the more that time goes by, some people kind of forget how awesome Nick Collins was. That dude was on a Hall of Fame path. Stupid injuries ending his career. Way too short. That guy was, for all the injuries to that team. I mean, you still had Charles Woodson there. You still had Tramon Williams as your corner. Sam Shields, a 7th-round rookie. Surprised a lot of people. And then you had Morgan Burnett, who was supposed to be a rookie starting safety with Nick Collins back there. He got hurt. Then you had Charlie Pepper, but you had Mr. Consistent, Mr. Solid Nick Collins in the back end. You look at that defense and you look at those secondary players with Collins, with Woodson, with Tramon, with Shields. I want this team to go out there and get their safety for the next few years. And considering how important secondary play is and that safety position is for Jeff Hafley's defense, it's got to be a priority that they go out there and get one of these safeties. Whether it's Xavier McKinney, whether it's Jordan Fuller, go get one of these guys. Because you can't open up next year again No offense, but you can't open up next year again with the same safeties that you had last year. And then Darnell Savage is probably gone. So Rudy Ford or Jonathan Owens, I don't want to see them opening up with those two starters. You've got to go out and get one of these top safeties. There's the talent pool is out there. You've got depth at that position. If you're not one of the players for one of those guys, then what are we doing here? Take advantage of it. You have an opportunity right now with this team right now, considering how the season ended. You have an opportunity here. You've got a team that got a taste of getting to the NFC Championship game, and I fully believe that team, if they would have went to the NFC Championship game, for as young as they were, they would have had a lot of belief that they could have beaten the Lions to go to the Super Bowl. I feel like that team would have had a lot of confidence and a lot of belief that they could have went into Detroit, which would have been an insane environment. Probably the loudest game that any of those players have ever experienced. That crowd would have been off the rails. And I don't know if the Packers would have won, but you would have at least had a young team that would have gone into that game with a lot of confidence that they could beat the Lions to go to the Super Bowl. And I feel like the front office would have that same feeling. The coaching staff would have had that same feeling. So why not go out there in a matter of a few hours from now and try to upgrade this team? So if you get to that situation again, if you get to that spot again, maybe you're in a better spot to close it out. Last year, we heard a lot of the issues on this defensive side was communication, communication, communication. We hear Jeff Hafley talk about the importance of communication, communication, especially in the back end. There's no excuses then not to upgrade that safety position and go out there and get one of these guys that's out there. They're there. Go get them. Go get one. Get it done. Bring one of those guys in that can be your leader on the defense, that leader in communication on the back end. If you're going to play aggressive coverage, you're going to play a little bump and run that you want to play, you better have some talented safety at the back end too. And I want a safety that can cover. I want a safety that can go sideline to sideline, help up, stop the run too. Go get one of these guys. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back after these quick words. Spring turkey hunting season is right around the corner. You all ready? If you answer no, what the heck? Time's running out, people. Guess you better head to Tilden Gun to get yourself ready. Whether you're looking for a new or used shotgun for this turkey hunting season, Tilden Gun is your go-to place when it comes to all of your hunting firearm needs. With a wide selection to choose from, Tilden Gun has just what you're looking for. You can see for yourself as you're listening to this commercial right now by visiting tildengun.com. Biggest selection at the best prices in the Chippewa Valley. And with the expert and friendly customer service from Sean and Hunter, they'll help you get ready to hit the field and the woods this spring turkey hunting season. Your checklist can be fairly long when it comes to getting ready for turkey season. Check off a couple of those by simply visiting tildengun.com. And don't forget, next week, you've got the leftover bonus harvest authorization tags beginning next Monday, the 18th. Zone 1 will go on sale, then Tuesday, Zone 2, Wednesday, Zone 3, Zone 4, Thursday, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So don't forget to put that on your alarms on your cell phones. I got mine set. So, all right. Also, too, what else do we got here with this warmer weather coming up here? It's probably a good time to remind you that if you haven't gotten the grill out, might want to get the grills out, get them out of hibernation because grilling season is upon us. And do it the right way this year. That means heading to Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire. Brats, burgers, chicken, beef, whatever you're grilling or putting on the smoker, you want to make sure it's quality. And that's what Mike's gives you. Plus, they also have freeze-dried candy. And get this, if you purchase a bag of the Jolly Rancher ones, $1 per bag goes to Backyard Dreams. So what are you waiting for? It's time to do some shopping at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Probably a good time to plan out some suppers and dinners with this warmer weather that we're going to be getting here. David, to answer your question, David, with a quick text on the Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. I like it when we get questions like this. Send those puppies on over. How disappointed would you personally be if the Packers didn't get a top safety? Disappointed. Disappointed. And I know I've been burned by this before being a Packers fan when you have a lot of hope that your team's going to be aggressive or do something in free agency. And how many years do we not have anything? Like they don't do anything, whether it was a Ted Thompson or era or whether it was, Goody for a little bit, whatever. I know I've been burned like a lot of Packers fans where you're hoping that your team's going to do something in free agency, that they're going to be active in free agency, maybe in the first day or so. But I still would be disappointed this year if they didn't do something because of a couple reasons. One, this is a team that can win now. They proved that last year. Two, there is an obvious hole on this team. There's a couple holes, but there's an obvious big hole, and that's at that safety spot. And three, it just so happens to be that one of the deepest talent pools in free agency is safety. So if Green Bay doesn't come away with one of these safeties, top 5, top 6, whatever number you want to put at, yeah, I would be disappointed because there is an opportunity in front of them to upgrade that position. And there's a few options where they can upgrade that position easily. You can't go into the draft hoping that one or two safeties are going to be there for you when it's your time to pick. Unless you're willing to trade up and make sure you get one of those guys, it's not a guarantee that that player is going to be there. Whether it's Cooper from Iowa, who seems to be the popular pick for a lot of Packers fans out there. You know what? I'd like Cooper. I'd also like a veteran with him in the back end too. Tag team that. So yes, to answer your question, I would be disappointed. And I know I've been burned, and I know we should probably learn from being Packers fans over the years to kind of hold our breath here for free agency and not overreact after the first 24 hours, first couple days or such. I get that. I understand that. But I just think it lines up. One of your biggest needs happens to also be one of the deepest positions of talent in the free agency pool. You've got options, and if you can't come away with one of those top options, what are we doing? Whether it's Xavier McKinney, whether it's Jordan Fuller or Justin Simmons or Cameron Curl or Julian Blackman or Chauncey Gardner Johnson, whoever, Geno Stone. The thing is, you've got some options who guys are still in their 20s, mid 20s too. The thing, it's not like it's just options of guys who are 33, 34. You got guys who are in their mid 20s that could be around for a few years. Take advantage of it. All right, we got to take our final break here. We'll do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. So, last call for any texts, hit us up 715-830-1912. Take that break, and then we'll be back to make some picks and predicts after these quick words. I'm a creature of habit. One of the very first things I do every morning, brew some coffee. Not just ordinary coffee. It's got to be cabin coffee in Altoona. See, cabin coffee in Altoona also locally roasts and packages coffee, fresh and daily. I'm personally a big fan of the giddy up flavor. Or if I'm in a hurry, I'll just pop on over to Cabin Coffee in the River Prairie district and grab myself a cup of Joe. Got a wide range of options to choose from that it's hard to just pick one sometimes. When it comes to my coffee, I need quality, not some brown flavored water. And you can get that at Cabin Coffee in Altoona. Also, a quick reminder too, with maybe some of the warmer temps coming up here, might be got spring break coming up. So if you're going to be hitting the roads for a little road trip in or some vacays, mine are two of the most important things you need to keep up to date on your vehicle is oil changes and tires. Well, guess what? You can accomplish both of those right at ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. Not only does ASAP Used Auto Parts have a wide range of high quality used auto parts, they also offer oil changes and can hook you up with a new set of tires to hit the road. No more looking for multiple places to get each of those jobs done. You can get it all done at ASAP Used Auto Parts. Just give them a call at 715 514 4501 or visit them at 1330 Menominee Street in Eau Claire to set up your appointment. All right, it is time for some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. Reminder too, with the Elbow Room, we got some hoops games coming up. Tourney time and such. We got they've got some brackets available if you want to partake in their contest over there. Just stop on by the Elbow Room for more information and to sign up. But that'll be coming up this weekend as after we know the teams and such in the beginning part of next week too. So go visit the Elbow Room while you're doing it, while you're filling one up. Maybe have a man cave light over there too, right? Yeah. Let's do some NBA games coming up on the schedule here for our picks and predicts, and I promise I will do a better job of adding some games on our picks and predicts on our website this week. Probably won't do the college ones because it's we're gonna have we got a bracket challenge where you can pre-register already at our website. You can sign that up, but again, with the conference tournaments and such kind of going on, it's going to be all over the place right now. But we've got some hoops games. Let's go with Suns versus the Cavaliers. Ooh, that should be a tasty one there. I'm gonna go with the Suns in that one. I'm gonna go with the Suns. I just part of it might be, and I know it's in Cleveland, but also want the Cavs to lose to help out the Bucks a little bit there too. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the Suns in that one. We might as well do some hockey games coming up here too because we only got 3 on the dockets for today. We got Devils taking on the Rangers. It's at New York. Give me the Rangers in this one. The Rangers, 41 and 18 and 4 in the season so far. I'll give me the Rangers. Then we've got the Blues taking on the Bruins. Give me the Bruins in this one, especially with it being in Boston. And then the Capitals taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Give me the Jets getting their 41st victory so far this season. All right. There you got it. Not a ton on the schedule here. I know we got some conference tournaments and kind of going on and such. Let me see if I can pull up. Maybe we can get some more college games in here, but this one site froze up on me in my schedule, so I'm trying to load it up here right now. Come on. Yeah, I don't want to do that one. No, I think we're good. Just I got a few NHL games and a couple of NBA games on the dockets for tonight. Well, for our picks and predicts. Yeah, we'll keep it there unless I'm just kind of doing this on the fly right now. Bear with me. Trying to load it up. And no, we'll stay with that. All right. Still nothing. The Lions are keeping one of their offensive linemen, it looks like. We know that Lions offensive line was one of the big reasons too why in the last couple of years they've had improved play. It's because up front they've invested in it over the years, defensive line and offensive line. So looks like Lions keeping. What is that? Okay, No, I thought we had another breaking news thing there. But no, the Lions are keeping one of their offensive linemen intact, Graham Glasgow, signing a 3-year, $20 million deal. For all the changes that the NFL goes through, still feels like, at least in my opinion, the game is won in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line. We mentioned it a little bit earlier, but now it kind of seems like the Bears' new stadium might have a dome. So there was talks about, remember, was it a year ago, maybe a little bit longer, that they could be moving out of Chicago to see the Chicago Bears, but be like, was it Arlington Heights? Was it Arlington Heights? Anyways, there's now a proposal that it could be in Chicago. The Bears would invest $2 billion and they'd have a dome. It would be built right next to Soldier Field in downtown Chicago, but the Bears would pitch in $2 billion for a publicly owned stadium, and it would have a dome. Now I know there's going to be some people kind of rolling their eyes about, ooh, Chicago dome. You think of Chicago, you think of windy games, cold games. Now the only team in the NFC North to not have a dome is going to be Green Bay. Chicago's looking at this for more than just football purposes. Let me rephrase that. More than just Bears purposes. Chicago has a dome stadium. They're going to host the Super Bowl. They get that done and they have a dome stadium. Chicago will have a Super Bowl. Minnesota had one. Detroit had one. Chicago easily will have a Super Bowl if they get a dome stadium. Moolah. Extra moolah in their pocket. You know what else they would be able to host? Final Fours. National champions. Or national championships. Concerts. It's all about what else can you use those facilities for. What else can you do there? I mean, look at US Bank Stadium, for crying out loud. You mentioned they had a Super Bowl there. They had the Final Four national championship there. It seems like there's how many concerts there now all the time? Chicago gets one of those. That's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. They'll have a Super Bowl there, extra cash, and they'll be able to host stuff like national championships and Final Fours. More money. That simple. It's that simple. Put a dome, put a roof on it, you're going to be able to host more. If Green Bay had a dome on Lambeau Field, would they have a Super Bowl? No. They wouldn't. You still don't have the minimums of the hotel stuff and all that. They got a draft. That's the closest they're ever going to get. That is the closest thing they will ever get. They ain't getting a Super Bowl. I don't care if they put a roof on Lambeau Field. They're not getting a Super Bowl. What else do we got? So that's kind of a big news out there. 2 hours, just a little 2 hours away from legal tampering period opening up. Will we see if the Packers will reportedly agree to any of the impending free agents? I can tell you, I will probably pay too much attention to social media and the X/Twitter, whatever we're calling it, for updates, for rumors, all that stuff. I'm fully into it. I'm fully ready to get my heart broke about not signing Xavier McKinney, a Jordan Fuller, or whoever. I'm ready. I'm ready to get heartbroken again if it's going to be that case here. Hoping it's not. I'm hoping we'll get somebody. But if not, I'm ready to be heartbroken again. Hopefully we're talking about some good stuff tomorrow. Please, please. Would love that. Speaking of tomorrow, it is a Ray's Place. Who cut and didn't cut the mustard? Think about that. This is your homework assignment. Who cut, didn't cut the mustard? Okay. I want your picks for tomorrow. Also, it is a ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. So if you got something that's grinding your gear, maybe it will be something about what happens with the legal tampering period that opens up this morning. Could be. That's your homework assignment. I want you to hit me up with the text tomorrow on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, okay? 715-830-1912. Want your homework assignments in on time, too, okay? Get them in on time. So, shot clock's going to cut me off here, but a big thanks to everybody who did tune in, sent over some messages, tweets, voted in the poll. By the way, the last update, you can still vote, but the last update for this morning, who has the better Hall of Fame resume? Matthew Stafford, 71.1% over Russell Wilson, 28.9%. DP and Adanitz, they're up next. Have a good rest of your Monday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, just past 6 a.m. Talk to you then.